bullet to the back of the head would be justified and wholly deserved. It's reported that Mr. Peddy also holds a firearm licence. He will be sentenced next month. Let's talk to the MP for Brent Central now. Thank you for talking to us, Dawn Butler. When you first read this tweet, what did it make you feel?
It was quite frightening, and my office were also distraught. And we have to have a database now of all of the abuse because we get so much of it, so we can keep track of it. This one felt quite sinister. And when the police called me and was talking me through and saying that they attended his property and they removed his firearms, I just froze. And, you know, they had to check that I was still on the line, and there was like tears rolling down my face. I was just having flashbacks to when my friend Joe Cox was murdered. And it's a very scary thing to think that somebody's so horrible to think that way in such a violent way, but also have the means to possibly carry it out. It's a very, very frightening thought indeed.
Why do you think that you are a target?
Because I'm black, I'm female, I'm vocal, I'm a politician, and you know there are sort of certain groups of people that feel that they've got this kind of supreme right to be violent and aggressive if they don't like what I say, and I think we've all got a responsibility, and the social media companies have a responsibility to ensure that they take down abusive posts quickly. You know, often when we report abuse, social media companies say that it doesn't reach the threshold, and you know that is wrong. You know, if we're reporting abuse, it means that it has reached the threshold. So social media companies have a responsibility, but I think as citizens, as global citizens, we also have a responsibility. If you know somebody who is being abusive to somebody online, then you need to call them out for it, or you need to stop talking to them. You know, there needs to be consequences. You can't just accept somebody is abusing somebody else. You know, some people say, well, it's just banter, but it's not banter. Racism, sexism, homophobia, you know, people criticizing disabled people, it's not banter, it's abuse. And you know, this is how we make society better, if we call it out and don't associate people who are abusive to others.
You mentioned Joe Cox. We could also talk about Sir David Amess. We could talk about Stephen Timms. We could go back to the year 2000 when Andy Pennington, an MP's assistant, was stabbed to death as he tried to protect the Lib Dem MP Nigel Jones from an attacker who stormed his constituency office. I wonder what sort of changes you have made to your daily life and to the way you work.
So many changes. I'm acutely aware of my surroundings at all times. My friends and my family, partners are also very much aware when we go out, you know, where I'm sitting, where I'm standing, who's around me. You know, we have sort of alarms, you know, there are other security measures that we take as well that we don't talk about,
Sure.
so people, you know, don't know. But there's so much that we have to do to protect ourselves, and it's frightening. And I also think there needs to be more to protect politicians as well, you know, across the board, because you know the consequences of not protecting us are really grave. And regardless of your, you know, political soundings, you know, nobody deserves to be murdered for doing their job or standing or sticking up for democracy and our way of life. And, you know, a lot needs to change in that regard.
This man was found guilty, 61-year-old former Brexit Party candidate. What message do you think that sends out to other online trolls, that you can be caught and you can be convicted?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're not going to silence me and others from speaking out. You know, tennis is on at the moment. You know, Naomi Osaka has had like 32,000 abusive messages. You know, you're not going to silence, especially women and women of colour, get it more than any other group. You won't silence us. And I think that what we have to do is make sure, as I say, that people silence the abusers by saying we're not going to associate with you. But I think it sends a message out that if you send abusive messages, that we are going to report it. You are going to get a knock on the door from the police. You are going to get sentenced, and you are going to be found guilty. And I hope he gets a prison sentence. I've taken out a restraining order on him. I don't want him anywhere near me, and I will do that for anybody that that is abusive towards me, and I will keep reporting it. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, and it's a mental toll, not just on me, but on my office as well. But we will continue to report it so that we can stop people being abusive, not just to me, but to others as well.
Thank you very much for talking to us this morning. Thank you. Dawn Butler, who is the Labour MP for Brent Central.